At the time of this video, I'm 18, and if I could go back and walk with my teenage self through life's toughest moments, these are the 18 lessons I'll walk him through to make the most of the teenage years. Lesson 1. Take responsibility of your life. No one is coming to save you. I'll be honest, this was the hardest lesson for me to learn. I used to think all my problem was everyone else's fault, not mine. Teachers were too strict, parents didn't understand, life wasn't fair. I blamed everyone except myself. I kept waiting for someone to fix it, to show up and change my circumstances. But one day it dawned on me and I said to myself, no one is coming to rescue me. If I want to change my life, I have to first take full responsibility and make it happen by myself. Think about it for a second. Where in your life are you blaming others or your circumstances for how things are? Maybe in your school, maybe your job, or maybe even your relationships. Now ask yourself this. What's one small thing I can control today? That's where change begins. You don't have to do everything overnight, but just by taking ownership of just one part of your life, you are now able to take back control. Lesson 2. Motivation is great, but discipline lasts long term. Motivation feels good in the moment. You watch, let's say, a hype video or you listen to an inspiring podcast and suddenly you're ready to take on the world. But what happens the next morning? You hit snooze and you skip that workout. And I'm saying this because I have actually lived through this cycle for years. Then I learned discipline isn't about feeling ready. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. For me, it started with one small habit. Waking up 6 a.m. every day, no excuses. And I won't lie, the first couple of days were very brutal and I wanted to quit so bad. But after like a week, I noticed that there was a bit of a shift. I started noticing that I didn't have to rely on motivation to wake up at 6 a.m. every day. It just became automatic. If there's one thing you can take away from this video today, let it be this. Pick one small habit. Start today. Show up every single day, no matter what. I don't want to hear any excuses. And over time, that's how real progress happens. Lesson 3. There is no easy way to succeed. Pick the hard that gives you a competitive advantage. Here is the truth no one likes to talk about. Life is hard no matter which path you choose. So you can either pick the hard that leads you to growth or the hard that leads you to regret. When I was in my teens, I hated being on camera, whether I was taking photos, whether I was doing videos, but I had the option to, just stay comfortable and avoid it. But something in me knew that there was growth on the other side of that fear. My first few tries were rough. Either I wasn't confident enough to look at the camera, or my voice was shaking, or sometimes I would stumble on some of my words. But I still kept on going. And now look at me today doing videos for teens like myself back then. Success isn't about avoiding hard things, it's about choosing the challenges that help you grow. Whether it's learning a new skill, starting that side hustle, or building better habits, choose a hard that gives you a competitive advantage. And it won't be easy right away, but the progress you will make every single step worth it. So start today and your future self will thank you. Lesson 4. The easiest way to fail is to sit and imagine and then take no action. I used to be the king of daydreaming. Imagine my dream life full of success, freedom, and confidence. I would imagine every single detail, feeling inspired in the moment. I'm the kind of person that I can sit here, imagine myself buying my G-Wagon, picking the G-Wagon up and driving it back home. I can do all that in my head. But after the daydreams ended, I took no action. I was stuck constantly waiting for the perfect time or the perfect circumstance that never came. Eventually, I realized I could spend my whole life trapped in my imagination, or I could take one small messy action every single day. Here is the thing, dreaming is important, but action is what builds that bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. So you don't need perfect conditions. Remember, success comes from consistent action, not endless imagination. Lesson 5. The way to build self-confidence is by keeping the promises you make to yourself. Self-confidence isn't about being loud or attention-grabbing. True confidence is actually built quietly when no one is watching. It comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. I remember telling myself I would start going to the gym consistently. And when I actually started going to the gym consistently, I wasn't, feeling unstoppable because of the pump at the end of the workout, but because I proved to myself that I can actually be trusted. That's how real confidence grows. It's not about big, flashy changes. It's about making one small promise to yourself today and actually keeping it. Each time you do, your confidence will grow. And before you know it, it will start spilling over into other aspects of your life. If you are gaining value from this lesson so far, I would appreciate it if you can become a subscriber of this channel, where I would help you make the most of your teenage years. And with that being said, let's move to lesson 6. Lesson 6. Small consistent steps towards your goals count more than big leaps once in a while. When I learned how to drive, I didn't just suddenly master it overnight. I didn't go from a nervous beginner to a master or being confident behind the wheel in just one day. It was the small, consistent lessons that made all the difference. Every practice session built on the last, and eventually I felt in control. The same principle applies to any goal. Big efforts here and there may feel exciting, but that's not what creates lasting change. It's the small, consistent steps, the daily action that actually transform your life over time. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment to take a big leap, just focus on showing up every day. Even if it's just 1% improvement, that all adds up. Those small, steady wins are the true secret to lasting success. So far, we've covered taking responsibility, why discipline beats motivation, how small steps can lead to big results, and that's just the first 6. These next 12 lessons are the kind most teens ignore until life hits them later, which leads us to lesson 7. When setting goals, also set what you're willing to sacrifice to achieve those goals. When you talk about setting goals, you usually focus on staying motivated or pushing through challenges. But there's another side to setting goals that probably you don't know or rarely gets mentioned, which is sacrifices. Achieving anything worthwhile means that along the way, you'd have to give something up. For me, one of the biggest sacrifices was reducing my attachment to soccer, whether I was watching games or whether I was actually playing. I would watch every single match that my team was playing, or I won't miss a chance to play soccer with my friends. But I noticed that it wasn't, giving me the room to prioritize what truly matters. Eventually, I had to ask myself this: do I want short-term fun or do I want long-term success? And especially at that age, it was a very tough decision to make. But when I was able to, reduce my attachment to soccer, I began having room to prioritize things that actually move me closer to my goals. Here's the thing: every goal comes with trade-offs. Whether it's your time on social media, or maybe the time you spend being watching your favorite shows, or even the time you spend hanging out with people that don't even support your dreams. So now, for any goal you want, I want you to ask yourself this: what am I willing to sacrifice to achieve this goal? Because most times, those sacrifices are the price of success. Lesson 8. The best investment you can make is in yourself. People always talk about investing, whether it's stock, real estate, or starting a business. But here's the truth: the best investment you ever make is in yourself. In my case, I didn't have a lot of money, but what I had was time. So instead of spending my time on pointless things that didn't matter, I then channeled that time to investing in my YouTube craft, whether I was editing, speaking, and things related to that. And that one thing changed everything. Every time I create content now, those skills pay off over and over again. And it's not just about money. Investing your time, energy, and effort into learning and growing can have life-changing returns. Especially for teens, in most cases you don't have the money, but you do have time. So I would recommend you invest it wisely. Think of it this way: the more you invest in yourself, the better your future becomes. Because if you look at it, they can take everything from you, but what they can't take from you is what is in you. So what's one thing you can invest in today that would make you a stronger, smarter, and more capable version of yourself tomorrow? Start there and watch your life level up. Lesson 9. Behind the mountain you fear to climb is a better version of yourself. Most of you treat fear like it's something to run from. But here's the truth: the biggest growth always hides behind the thing you are most afraid of. I remember being terrified to speak to girls. I'll sit there, my heart racing, wondering what she would think, or maybe if I would embarrass myself. And for a long time, that kept me silent. But one day, I made a challenge for myself, which was to talk to a new girl every single day. And the moment I did, something changed. I didn't become confident overnight, but that single moment gave me a confidence boost I didn't know I needed. When you face your fear, it's not about winning or it's not about being perfect. It's just about proving to yourself that you're actually stronger than you thought. So if there's a mountain you're afraid to climb, a conversation, a risk, a decision, I want you to know this: the better version of yourself is waiting on the other side. So face the fear and you'll meet him. Lesson 10. Get used to being misunderstood. It often means you're on the right track. When you decide to do something different, especially something that is not considered normal in our society, you will definitely be misunderstood. It's inevitable. When I made the decision not to go to university, not everyone understood why I was doing it. Some people, like my parents, weren't so happy about that decision. Some, saw the potential, but rightfully they were afraid because it's not a path that, people from where I come from, people are used to taking. At first, that doubt can make you second guess yourself. It's easy to wonder if you're making a mistake when others around you don't see your path. But here's the thing, being misunderstood often means you're on the right track. If everyone is able to understand the path or the vision you have, that means there's nothing special or unique about it. So if people don't get your choices or maybe they question your path, just take it as a sign that you are doing something meaningful. Just keep moving forward, stay true to yourself, and keep trusting the process. Over time, the right people will understand, or they will see your success and realize that you were right all along. Lesson 11. Self-improvement can be lonely at times, but it's temporary. When you come to self-improvement, it can feel lonely. You might notice your friends drifting away, and that's exactly what happened to me. When I started focusing on my growth, staying disciplined, setting goals, and making changes, I noticed that some of my friends, we weren't just as close as we were before. Maybe they didn't understand why I wasn't behaving the way I used to, and over time, we just grew apart. Because for a long time, I felt isolated, like no one else around me understood my mindset. But here's what I learned. That loneliness is just temporary. When you stay committed to your growth and stay true to your path, new people will come. And that's exactly what is happening for me now. I'm starting to attract people who support my goals, encourage me, and vice versa. And also we have like a similar mindset. So if you're feeling lonely right now because of your growth, just know it's a part of the process. You are shedding off those old connections to make room for better ones. Stay the course, keep working on yourself, and the right people will come when you stay true to your path. Lesson 12. You attract your kind. If you want to attract quality people, be quality yourself. You attract your kind. If you want to attract quality people into your life, people that are driven, disciplined, and are focused on growth, you have to first start becoming that kind of person yourself. When I started taking my life seriously, everything changed. I stopped wasting time on distractions and started focusing on my goals. I stayed disciplined in my routines and made self-improvement a priority. Something surprising happened. My relationships leveled up. The people I was attracting were not just, mere acquaintances. There were people also striving to improve their own lives. And those friendships, I didn't have to chase those friendships. Instead, they just came naturally into my life because we had the same mindset. The truth is, like attracts like. If you're not working on leveling up yourself, then you won't be able to attract people who are. So instead of focusing on finding high-level people, focus on being one. When you work on your own growth, staying disciplined, pursuing your goals, and staying true to your values, the right people will notice. And before you know it, you'll be surrounded by a community of people who are just as driven as you are. Lesson 13. The way people treat you is how you've taught them to treat you. The way people treat you is often a reflection of the boundaries or lack of boundaries you've set. So if you don't set clear boundaries or speak up when you feel disrespected, people will just assume that behavior is something you accept. It's not necessarily that they are trying to hurt you, they will just treat you based on what you allow. For example, I used to let people have unlimited access to my time, whether it was errands, while I was working, or maybe during my personal time. And at that time, I would just let it slide because I felt like I was being nice or I was being polite. And for me, it's kind of because I've noticed that I'm a people pleaser, so I just, let it go. But over time, I'll get frustrated like my time wasn't being valued. Finally, I decided to set my ground. The next time someone wanted my time without maybe telling me ahead of time or something like that, I would just nicely but firmly say, I'm occupied now, can we do this maybe later around this specific time or something like that. And I noticed that, they backed off and all of a sudden, they started respecting my time because of that boundary I was able to set. So here's the big takeaway. Set clear boundaries for yourself. If you respect yourself, your time, your values, your limits, others will notice and they will follow your lead. But if you don't, they won't either. So start by asking yourself, how do I want to be treated? Then show up as someone who demands that same respect. Lesson 14. The easiest way to avoid failure is to focus on one thing. Focus stands for follow one course until successful. The easiest way to set yourself up for failure is trying to do too many things at once. I know you're probably juggling school, work, hobbies, fitness, or maybe any other thing you might be doing. But the thing is that spreading yourself too thin just makes it impossible for you to improve in one thing. I learned this firsthand when I tried to balance working part-time, creating content, working out, trying to build a business on the side, and learning a new skill all at once. I constantly felt exhausted, and instead of me excelling in any area, I just felt like I was going behind in all of them. But when I focused on just one thing, which was me pouring my energy into my YouTube channel, and by the way, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button and become a subscriber of this channel. Anyways, I saw real progress and it just felt like, a big weight was lifted off my shoulders. So here's the big takeaway. pick one thing and follow one course until successful. Once you've been able to master that one thing, then you can move to another one. This focused effort not only avoids burnout, it also makes success much more achievable. Remember, you can do everything you want, but not just all at once. Lesson 15. Don't take advice from someone who isn't where you want to be. One of the quickest ways to get off track is by taking advice from someone who isn't where you want to be. It's just like asking someone that has never been in the gym before to coach you in the gym. It just doesn't work. I learned this the hard way. I used to take advice from people who were in the same spot as I was, which was struggling to figure things out. They meant well, but their advice was not just what I needed. When I shifted to learning from people who had achieved what I wanted, whether through books, videos, or mentorship, everything changed. Their insights and experiences gave me a roadmap that worked. Here's the bottom line: vet advice carefully. If someone hasn't walked the path you're currently on and come out successful, most likely their advice is not what you need. So instead, surround yourself with people who have been where you want to go. Their lessons will help you avoid mistakes and move forward with confidence. Lesson 16. If you earn your own respect, you earn everyone else's by default. Earning respect from others starts with you earning your own respect first. Self-respect breeds confidence and authenticity, and people can feel it when you carry yourself that way. For a long time, I struggled with people always testing my boundaries. Then I realized I wasn't even keeping to my own values. But when I started standing for what I believed, whether I was saying no to things that don't align with my goals or me staying true to my commitments, something changed. I noticed people, they didn't try to test my boundaries. Instead, they started showing respect. The key: keep the promises you make to yourself. When you respect your own time, your own values, and your own boundaries, others will just naturally follow suit. Lesson 17. You don't find your passion, you build it through mastery. Most people think passion just strikes one day like lightning, but that's not how it works. I used to think I'd magically discover what I loved, but the truth is that passion is built by becoming really good at doing something. When I started making content, I wasn't obsessed with it. It was more of like, how can I improve little by little? But over time, I got better and my excitement grew, and now it's something I'm really passionate about. And that's because I put in the work first. Think about it this way: your favorite athletes or musicians didn't start out by loving every single practice, but by pushing through, they created passion through progress. If you are feeling stuck waiting for your passion to show up, stop waiting. Pick something you are curious about or something you really want to be good at. The more effort you put in, the more passion will naturally follow. Lesson 18. Beware of comparing your level 1 to someone's level 18. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing, especially with social media. We see the highlight reels of the successes, the achievements, the vacations, but we don't see the failures, we don't see the struggles, or we don't see the sacrifices that got them to where they are. I used to scroll through social media and feel like I was falling behind. I would see others succeed and be wondering to myself, am I actually doing enough? But when I stopped comparing, I started focusing on my own journey, I then realized that I'm actually making steady progress. The truth: everyone's path is different. You might be at the beginning stage of your own journey while someone else is years into theirs. Stop comparing yourself because it just distracts you from your own growth. Instead, focus on your own wins no matter how small. Celebrate those progress you've made, and remember, growth happens at your pace, not anyone else's. You've got these 80 lessons now, but knowledge without action won't get you anywhere. If you want to learn how to build discipline so fast it feels illegal, click the video somewhere on the screen. And remember, the path is just to walk. And as always, I'm in your corner, rooting for you. It's freaking cold. Jeez.